The last two rows of the rubric are assessing whether the essay demonstrates the student can apply conventions appropriate to academic work. Notice that the citation row has 3 levels of performance, but here you're choosing between 0, 3 and 5 points, while the grammar and style row has 3 levels of performance, but you're choosing between 0, 2 and 3 points, so they're not the same. Row 6 is focused on attribution of sources and is fairly straightforward. Here the guiding question is the citation or attribution accurate? It involves a 3-part check. Firstly, check the bibliography or work cited for consistency. Secondly, check for clarity in internal citations. And thirdly, check to make sure that the internal citations match up to the bibliography or work cited. Note that it doesn't matter which citation style a student uses, but whichever they use should be applied consistently and accurately, even if you're not able to identify the citation style. Also, in any style guide the student uses, URLs are not sufficient. They are additive information, and this includes an MLA. A stable URL shows only how the information was obtained. All elements of the citation should be listed so that the quality of the source can easily be discerned. If the style is consistent, but missing key elements, it cannot score high in this row. So let's take a look at training sample 1. The response earned 5 points for this row because it consistently and accurately cites the sources used. The bibliography is complete and all of the cited sources have an entry on this page. Now let's compare that with a low-scoring response. Gender equality earned a score of 0 because of the errors in citation and the inconsistent and incomplete citations page. The attribution and citation style makes random shifts from using in-text parentheticals to footnotes. Neither of the two stimulus sources, We Can Do It and The Wealth of Nations, appear on the citations page, and the arrangement of entries on the citations page also demonstrates a lack of deliberate style choice. For example, the sources are not consistently arranged alphabetically. So, this response does not ascend to the level of generally consistent style with some errors, as described at the 3-point level of the rubric, so it scores 0. Let's review a mid-range response in this rubric row, hourly versus salary, which earned a score of 3. The response incorporates a consistent citation style, but with numerous format and punctuation errors noted on the bibliography. For example, the works cited page includes Gale, Brandon as the start of a source, but then the response cites Brandon Gale, all one word, in the parenthetical citation, while at other times only citing an author's last name. The in-text citations sometimes feature parentheticals, and other times are attributed with a single phrase, but generally remain inconsistent. In summary, a response scoring low in this row is rife with problems in attribution and citation. The errors may be in either the attribution or citation, or in bibliographic style and format, or in both. Low responses will often read as rants or opinion pieces with no citation of evidence to back claims. They may present ostensibly valid information without giving credit to the original authors in the body of the response, and or may include a bibliography that lacks attention to format, detail and completion. In low responses, proper attribution and citation will often emerge as conspicuously absent to a degree that the overall integrity of the response is compromised. A response scoring medium in this row may provide bibliographic information in a consistent style, but it may have incomplete information, for example missing authors, pages or dates. It may have sources mismatched to authors, or sources used in the argument that are not listed in the bibliography, or missing attributions where a citation should be supplied. For example, the response may include a statistic or another type of data clearly derived from research, but may fail to credit the source of that data in the text or footnotes. While these types of errors may appear in a response scoring medium, they neither overwhelm the response nor distract from the argument's overall integrity. A response scoring high exhibits consistency of style, complete bibliographic information, and will thoroughly and accurately credit the sources that provide the evidence for the argument. Responses scoring high in this row make it easy for the reader to locate and retrieve the resources on his or her own because all of the information is clear and present. It may not be 100% error-free, but there are no real missing elements. The last row of the rubric, row 7, is about clarity of written communication. What matters is being clear and accurate so that the reader isn't distracted by the tone or doesn't have to work to understand what is being said because of errors. At the high levels, students write effectively to add variety, emphasis and interest. A response scoring low contains grammatical errors, inconsistencies and stylistic flaws that are chronic distractions and that impede clear communication to the reader. Training sample 4, gender inequality, for example, earned a score of 0 because of its many flaws and informal style. Its weak construction and often confusing prose and sentence fragments leave the response's discussion unclear. For example, rather men just taking responsibility and being held responsible by law if necessary. And women should not get shamed because they've had an abortion. There are make situations that may be going on in that woman's life. Errors in grammar and punctuation inhibit the reader's full understanding of the response's argument. The response lapses into a colloquial tone in the use of the tattoo analogy seen here, and overall the response ineffectively communicates when discussing the topic and does not demonstrate a control of language and construction appropriate for an academic audience. A medium response conveys its message adequately, but may be inconsistent in its sentence structure and/or grammatical soundness, or may lapse into a less than academic tone so as to occasionally distract the reader. In general, however, such errors and inconsistencies do not overwhelm the response in a way that compromises its overall integrity. Training sample 2, about South Korea for example, earned 2 points because there are some lapses that detract from an academic tone. For example, the response asks, but why did Korea's hustle to make better country in fact make its people unhappier? The word hustle here conveys a less formal tone. Such word choice decisions are made throughout. Additionally, careless mistakes such as the word topis instead of topic in footnote 8 and using researches instead of researchers demonstrate an unpolished style. A high response features appropriate and effective word choice and grammatically sound, well-structured sentences. It conveys its message to the reader with clarity and exhibits a tone that is objective and academic. While the high response may not be 100% perfect in every detail, it is overwhelmingly well written and sophisticated in its delivery. Training sample 1 on night shift work earned 3 points for this row because it contains few flaws in grammar or style. It demonstrates a strong control of the language. For example, they are still subject to long-term effects of circadian misalignment. That is appropriate for an academic audience. Congratulations, you've reached the end of the instruction on interpreting and applying the IWA rubric. Now, if you want to recap on the training samples, you can try scoring them in the next activity. Or you could just go on to practice scoring new samples. Remember, it is up to you how much of this training module you want to do. Only modules 2 and 4 are required.